Hello, everybody. I apologize for missing last Saturday's poetry reading session. We were loading up a large U-Haul truck preparing for a 2-day, almost 1,500-mile trip from Topeka to western Pennsylvania, um, and ending up in the small burg of Sewickley, a few miles down the Ohio River from Pittsburgh, where the Ohio River begins, of course. Of interstate travel, the less said the better, perhaps, for it is an endless procession of trucks and cars, and at least 50% trucks. And when the construction occurs, suddenly the stop traffic is at least 2 and often 3 miles long within a minute and a half. The pipeline of trucks and cars is endless. It continues 24 hours daily, and I doubt if it could be stopped by any kind of ransomware attack. And incidentally, I plead innocent on all of that. You'll notice behind me here I have some balloons floating around. These are the leftovers from the glorious party that my granddaughters provided for us when we got home, greeting us after our long trip. It was a lot of fun. I even had to drink not a bottle, but a small glass of champagne, which they had thoughtfully set aside for my delectation. Anyway, I want to go ahead with a poem, and this one is a poem by Robert Frost, which I found in an interesting place. This is the source of it. It's A Certain World, which is a commonplace book written by W.H. Ogden with all the entries in alphabetical order. And lo and behold, in the section about roads, there's a poem by Robert Frost called The Middleness of the Road. And I think it fits the travels that I've had very nicely indeed. The road at the top of the rise seems to come to an end and take off into the skies. So at the distant bend it seems to go into a wood, the place of standing still, as long as the trees have stood. But say what fancy will, the mineral drops that explode to drive my ton of a car are limited to the road. They deal with near and far, but have almost nothing to do with the absolute flight and rest the universal blue and local green suggest. And that's kind of the way it was with us traveling. Last Sunday and Monday, we drove through some places that were very interesting to see, and you wish you could wait and find out more about them, but alas, it was not to be. We were grinding out the miles and hoping for the best. You can't see a great deal of the states we passed through at 75 miles per hour. I'm sure they're wonderful places, but they kind of all look alike. Fields of flowers and grain starting to sprout, And we were at every stop reminded that even though our pandemic has mostly subsided, there are still a plethora of mask wearers at gas stations and diners. If you ask whether they have been immunized, they almost always say, yes. And then are surprised if you say, well, then, you don't really need a mask, do you? The silliness of all this reminded me of a poem by Ogden Nash. And this is from the selected verses of Ogden Nash, which I've had on my bookshelf for many years now. And this poem is called The Germ. A mighty creature is the germ, though smaller than the pachyderm. His customary dwelling place is deep within the human race. His childish pride he often pleases by giving people strange diseases. Do you, my poppet, feel infirm? You probably contain a germ. That is a great little poem, and I might comment that the word germ is, of course, a generalization of the more precise virus or bacteria. It is certainly possible that masks have protected us from cold germs and flu more than from coronaviruses. But I think simple things like hand washing and avoiding crowds have done more. But we aren't here for medical speculation. So here's a somewhat more serious poem by Dylan Thomas. I have to admit that I'm in love with his rhythm and musicality, and I'll have something to say about what it all means after we're through with it. This is from Dylan Thomas' collected poems, which has an introduction by Paul Muldoon, which is informative, but I would say a mite too much on the academic side for my taste. Now you remember, because I've discussed this before, and I know your memories are all perfection itself, unlike mine, I'm afraid to say. But his first lines of his poems are most of the time the titles. And so the first line of this poem and the title is "Ears in the turrets hear." Ears in the turrets hear hands grumble on the door. Eyes in the gables see the fingers at the locks. Shall I unbolt? Or stay alone till the day I die, unseen by stranger eyes in this white house? Hands hold you poison or grapes? Beyond this island bound by a thin sea of flesh and a bone coast, the land lies out of sound, and the hills out of mind. No bird or flying fish disturbs this island's rest. Ears in this island hear the wind pass like a fire. Eyes in this island see ships anchor off the bay. Shall I run to the ships with the wind in my hair, or stay till the day I die and welcome no sailor? Ships hold you poison or grapes. Hands grumble on the door. Ships anchor off the bay. Rain beats the sand and slates. Shall I let in the stranger? Shall I welcome the sailor? Or stay till the day I die? Hands of the stranger and holds of the ships hold you poison or grapes? What a great poem. What a great poem that is. But what does it all mean? I think most of you have figured it out, that the turrets and the ears are in the head. The head and the eyes are the eyes of the person who's the speaker in this poem. And he or she describes their body as this white house. And the question that the poet or the speaker in the poem is asking is, shall I unbolt or stay alone till the day I die, unseen by stranger eyes? And then it's asking the rhetorical question of the strangers, hold you poison or grapes? Ears in this island hear the wind pass like a fire. Eyes in this island being me, the speaker. Eyes see ships anchor off the bay. Shall I run to the ships with the wind in my hair, or stay till the day I die and welcome no sailor? Ships, hold you poison or grapes? This is the great question of human relationships, isn't it? Are you going to be my friend, or are you going to be my enemy? This is the great question. And Dylan Thomas is very fond of asking the great questions. This poem does not consistently rhyme, but note the repetition of the question, hold you poison or grapes, at the end of the first, third, and fourth stanzas. And note also the repetition of till the day I die in the first, third, and fourth stanzas. These are the important questions. As far as I know, this does not create a classic French form like a villanelle, which he has used in another great poem he wrote. But it is part of what I call the musicality of Thomas. These are the kinds of questions that travelers must ask or think about. The constant stream of strangers always about. And what will our answer be? You know, when you're traveling like I was last weekend, you're getting gas and you're in hotels and restaurants, and you're meeting a steady stream of strangers. And you see cars passing, and they contain one person or maybe a whole family, and you're wondering, what are you doing here? And they look at you and they're saying, what are you doing here? And so I think with the constant stream of strangers always about, we have to be asking the question, do you have poison or grapes? Hands hold you poison or grapes? We're always asking that of others, and they're asking it of us. What will our answer be? That's all for today. Let's read more poetry together next week. I'll be here, and you're invited. Bye now.